It was a cold, rainy night. The sky was dark and heavy, and the rain fell without mercy, covering the streets in shining puddles. Inside the busy, expensive restaurant named Golden Spoon, everything looked warm, rich, and bright. Golden lights reflected on the polished tables, soft music played in the background, and waiters moved quickly, serving food to wealthy customers who laughed loudly and enjoyed their night. The owner, Mr. Victor, stood near the entrance with his arms crossed. He was a man in his late 40s, tall, with a sharp face and a perfectly pressed suit. He always walked with pride, his chin held high, and his eyes scanning the room like a king. Victor had one rule in his restaurant: only rich people deserve the best service. He believed money defined respect, and he never wasted time on anyone who looked simple or poor. Every night, Victor checked each guest personally. If someone wore expensive clothes, he smiled. If someone looked simple, he ignored them like they were invisible. The staff knew his attitude well and followed his actions carefully. Tonight was no different. Victor stood at the door, greeting wealthy customers with fake politeness. "Good evening, Mr. Raymond. Your table is ready. Welcome back, Mrs. Stella. Please, this way." Victor's smile was always perfect, but only for those who looked rich. For others, he didn't even nod. Outside, the rain got stronger, hitting the glass walls of the restaurant like thousands of tiny stones. The city lights blurred in the water, and the cold wind pushed against the doors. At that moment, the restaurant door opened with a soft creak. A couple stepped inside, wet from the rain, simple clothes sticking to their skin, and a small cloth bag hanging from the man's shoulder. Their shoes were muddy, and their hair was damp. They looked tired, but their faces were gentle and calm. Victor's smile disappeared instantly. The couple looked around the restaurant shyly. The woman whispered something to her husband and held his arm tightly. They walked slowly toward the counter, hoping someone would guide them. But the moment they entered, the restaurant fell almost silent. Customers glanced at them with confused expressions. Some covered their noses slightly, others raised their eyebrows. The staff exchanged nervous looks. Nobody wanted to be the first to approach the couple. They all knew Victor hated guests who didn't look rich. Victor stepped forward like a storm. "Excuse me," he said sharply. "Can I help you?" His tone was cold, rude, and full of superiority. The man spoke politely. "Yes, sir, we came from far away. We are tired and hungry. We just want a warm meal." The woman nodded softly. "We don't need anything special. Just a small meal, please." Victor stared at them from head to toe, judging their clothes, their bag, their wet shoes. He scoffed. "A small meal? In this restaurant? Do you even know how expensive this place is?" The couple exchanged a confused look. "We can pay," the man said calmly. "Please, sir, we just want to eat." Victor laughed loudly, a laugh full of arrogance. "You can pay? With what? Look at yourself. This is not a cheap food place. This is a luxury restaurant." Customers around them started whispering. "Why are they here? They don't match this place. Maybe they are lost." Victor pointed at the door. "Leave. No. I don't want my customers to lose their appetite." The woman lowered her head. The man looked hurt but remained calm. "Sir, it is raining heavily. Please let us sit for a moment." Victor interrupted angrily. "No. Out. People like you don't belong here." He yelled loudly enough for the whole restaurant to hear. "Get out before I call security." The couple stood still for a moment. The man gently placed his hand on his wife's shoulder. "It's okay," he whispered. "Let's go." The woman wiped a tear before it fell. They slowly turned and walked out into the rain. Victor watched them with a proud smile, believing he had done the right thing. "Finally," he muttered, "some peace." Inside the restaurant, customers laughed again, music continued, and waiters returned to work. But outside, on the wet sidewalk, the couple stood quietly in the rain. The strange thing was, they weren't angry. They didn't shout. They didn't fight. They simply stood under the falling rain, holding each other's hands, a soft and mysterious smile on their faces. Almost as if they knew something Victor didn't. Almost as if the rain was not the only storm that was coming. And far across the street, a black car with tinted windows slowly stopped. Someone inside the car was watching them. And that was the moment everything started to change. The restaurant doors opened slowly as the poor-looking couple stepped inside. The warm golden lights fell on them, but instead of comfort, they felt everyone's eyes on their clothes. Their jackets were wet, their shoes muddy from walking in the rain. The woman held her husband's arm tightly, as if worried they might be thrown out any second. Mr. Victor, who had just finished greeting a rich business group, turned to look at them. His smile faded immediately. His eyebrows pulled together with irritation. "These people," he muttered quietly but loud enough for the waiters to hear. "Who allowed them to come in here?" The waiters exchanged nervous looks. No one wanted to upset the owner, so they pretended not to see the couple. The man, Mr. Adam, offered a gentle smile to the nearest waiter. "Excuse me, we would like a small table, please." The waiter looked at Mr. Victor, scared to say anything. Victor walked toward them with slow, heavy steps, like a king approaching unwanted guests. "Yes. Can I help you?" he asked, but there was no kindness in his voice. The woman, Emma, spoke softly. "We walked a long way. We just need something warm to eat." Victor glanced at their clothes again, old, simple, not even close to the elegant style he demanded. "This restaurant is not for everyone," he said sharply. "We serve high-class customers here." The couple stayed calm, but their faces fell slightly. They were clearly tired, but they remained polite. "We can pay," the man said. Victor laughed coldly. "With what? Coins?" He crossed his arms. "Look at yourselves. You don't belong in a place like this." A few customers turned their heads. Some shook their heads at Victor's behavior. A young woman whispered to her friend, "They're just asking for food. Why is he acting like that?" But Victor didn't care. His ego was bigger than his sense of kindness. "Please," Emma said softly. "Just one bowl of soup." Victor raised his hand. "No. Leave before you embarrass this place." At that moment, thunder cracked outside. The couple looked toward the door, ready to walk back into the storm. But then something unexpected happened. An elderly man sitting at the VIP table stood up slowly. His sharp eyes had been watching everything. His clothes were simple but clean. A long coat rested on his chair. He looked like a quiet person, someone who spoke only when necessary. He walked toward Victor. "Is this how you treat people who walk in from the rain?" he asked softly. Victor forced a smile. "Sir, please, these people." "These people," the elderly man interrupted, "are your customers too. Anyone who enters seeking food is a customer." Victor's face tightened. "Sir, please don't get involved. They cannot afford anything here." The elderly man turned toward the couple. "Can you afford a meal?" he asked. Adam nodded. "Yes, sir. We can." The old man smiled kindly. "Good. Then you will sit with me." Victor stepped forward. "Sir, you cannot." "Are you stopping me?" The old man's voice was calm, but powerful. Even Victor froze. The restaurant became silent. Even the people eating stopped their forks mid-air. For the first time, Victor looked unsure. But then his pride returned. "Fine," he said, "but remember, if they cannot pay, I will not be responsible." The elderly man simply nodded and guided the couple to the VIP table. Waiters rushed to clean it quickly, confused but relieved that someone stood up for them. As the couple sat down, Emma whispered, "Thank you, we don't even know your name." The elderly man smiled gently. "My name is Mr. Williams, and I believe kindness should never depend on money." Victor watched them from across the room, anger rising inside him. Who was this old man? Why was he protecting them? Why did he speak with such confidence? Something about him felt important, too important. Victor did not know that this night, this simple act, would change his entire life. Because the couple he insulted, they were hiding something. Something big. And Mr. Williams. He knew exactly who they were. Mr. Victor pretended to focus on the restaurant, but his eyes kept drifting toward the VIP table where the elderly man, Mr. Williams, sat with the poor-looking couple. Something about the scene bothered him. The couple was too calm, too polite, too confident for people who looked so poor. Emma held the warm cup of tea with both hands, her fingers trembling from the cold. Adam sat straight, quietly thanking every waiter who served them. Their manners were soft and elegant, something Victor didn't expect. Rich behavior in poor clothes? It made no sense to him. Mr. Williams spoke to them gently, asking where they came from, how long they had been traveling, and if they had eaten anything the whole day. The couple answered respectfully, never complaining, never asking for anything extra. Victor watched from a distance, irritation growing in his chest. Finally, he walked to the table. "Is everything fine here?" he asked through a stiff smile. "The food is good enough for you?" Mr. Williams lifted his eyes slowly. "It is excellent. Thank you." Victor bowed slightly. "Good. I just hope they can pay for what they ordered. This is the VIP section." The restaurant became silent again. Even the waiters stopped moving. Adam placed a hand on the table and said softly, "We told you. We can pay." Victor chuckled. "With what job? With what money? You two look like you haven't seen a proper home in months." Emma's face flushed, embarrassed but silent. Mr. Williams stared at Victor carefully, like someone watching a child making a foolish decision. "Mr. Victor," he said in a calm tone, "do you always treat guests this way?" Victor's smile vanished. "I run a luxury restaurant. I cannot waste time on people who don't fit the image." Mr. Williams nodded slowly. "I see. Then allow me to give you a piece of advice." Victor crossed his arms proudly. "I don't need advice from anyone." Mr. Williams sighed softly, as if he expected this answer. "One day," he said, "your pride will destroy you. And it may begin tonight." A chill ran down the spines of the waiters listening nearby. Victor forced a laugh. "My pride? Destroy me? Buy them?" He pointed at the couple. "Do you know who I am? I built this place with my own hands. I choose who belongs here." Mr. Williams' expression changed. Not angry. Not upset. Just disappointed. "You are choosing the wrong people to insult," he said quietly. Victor leaned forward. "Oh? And who exactly are they? Some travelers? A lost couple? Or," he smirked, "are you suggesting they are important?" A strange silence filled the air. Adam looked at Emma. Emma looked at Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams looked straight into Victor's eyes. "I am suggesting," the elderly man said, "that you are making a mistake you will regret for the rest of your life." Victor stiffened. "What is that supposed to mean?" Mr. Williams didn't answer. He simply placed a reassuring hand on Emma's shoulder. At that moment, a group of expensive black cars stopped outside the restaurant. The headlights flashed through the glass doors, and uniformed men stepped out, holding umbrellas. The customers gasped. Victor turned toward the door, confused. "What is happening?" he whispered. The waiters hurried to open the doors as more guards stepped in, professional, disciplined, clearly high-level security. They walked straight toward the VIP table. Victor's heart started racing. One of the guards bowed deeply to Adam and Emma. "Sir. We have been looking for you." Gasps filled the room. Victor froze. "Sir. Looking for them? Who were they?" The guard continued. "The car is ready. Everyone is waiting." Everyone. Victor felt the ground shift under his feet. He looked at the couple again, quiet, gentle, humble. Suddenly, they didn't look poor at all. They looked powerful. Important. Dangerous to insult. Victor's throat went dry. The elderly man, Mr. Williams, turned to him one last time and said softly, "This is the moment you understand your mistake." Victor's heart was pounding. The poor-looking couple he had insulted yesterday, the ones he had thrown out into the rain, now sat calmly at the VIP table, surrounded by their own security team. Black cars with tinted windows were parked outside, and men in sharp suits stood near the entrance. Every customer in the restaurant watched in silence, some whispering nervously, some staring in disbelief. Victor couldn't breathe. The couple no longer looked like travelers or poor strangers. Their wet jackets were gone, replaced with elegant, expensive clothes. Their shoes were polished. Their hair was neat. But what shocked him the most was the calm confidence on their faces. They were in control, powerful, untouchable, and somehow terrifying. The man, Adam, looked at Victor directly. His eyes were steady, his voice calm. "Do you remember us?" he asked. Victor's mouth went dry. "Why yes," he stammered. I remember." Adam leaned back slightly, smiling politely. "You threw us out yesterday, in the rain. You insulted us in front of everyone. Do you remember why?" Victor swallowed hard. I thought you were ordinary people," he muttered. Emma, the woman, spoke softly. "Ordinary? People like us are not defined by clothes, sir. And apparently, your judgment is blind." Victor felt his hands shake. What are you?" he asked, almost whispering. Adam placed a hand on the table, and a guard stepped forward, handing a large folder to him. Adam opened it slowly, revealing documents with the restaurant's official logo. Victor's eyes widened as he read. Ownership transferred to Adrian and Elena Enterprises, Golden Spoon Restaurant lease renewal and management control. Victor froze. What? This can't be, he whispered. Adam smiled faintly. Yesterday, we came in simple clothes to see how you treat ordinary people. We wanted to see your character. And you failed. Victor sank back into a chair. His face turned pale. His hands trembled. You own the company? You own the restaurant, he whispered, barely able to form words. Emma nodded. Yes, and much more. The cars, the security, you were lucky it was a test. A simple mistake yesterday could have cost you everything. Victor's mind raced. All the arrogance, all the pride, all the nights he had spent thinking he controlled everything, vanished in an instant. He realized how small and foolish he had been. Adam leaned forward, his voice calm but sharp. We believe in giving chances. But respect is not negotiable. Treat everyone equally, or face consequences. Victor's knees shook. He wanted to speak, but no words came out. His pride, which had once been his strength, now felt like a heavy chain around him. Emma added softly, You judged us by our clothes. You mocked us for appearing poor. That is not respect, and respect is the foundation of trust. Victor bowed his head. Tears started to roll down his cheeks. He couldn't believe what he had done. He had insulted the very people who had the power to change his life forever. Adam and Emma stood up slowly, signaling their guards to escort them out. Remember this night, Adam said, looking directly at Victor. Respect is the real currency in life. Without it, wealth means nothing. As the couple left the restaurant, the customers and staff watched silently. Even the waiters felt the weight of the lesson. Victor remained seated, trembling. The golden lights of the restaurant now seemed cold and harsh, reflecting his shame and regret. For the first time, Victor understood the truth. It was not money or power that made someone important. It was character. And he had failed that test. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets wet and shining. But inside, Victor felt a storm raging in his heart, a storm of shame, fear, and the hope that he could somehow make amends. He knew one thing for certain, he would never look at people the same way again. Victor sat frozen in his chair, staring at the empty VIP table where Adam and Emma had just left. The golden lights of the restaurant, which once made him feel proud, now felt cold and mocking. His hands trembled, and his chest ached with the weight of shame. All the years he had spent thinking wealth and power were everything, tonight, they meant nothing. The people he had looked down upon had shown him the truth. Respect, kindness, and character mattered far more than money or status. The waiters cautiously approached, keeping their distance. One young man whispered, Sir, what should we do now? Victor didn't answer. He couldn't. His mind was spinning. He could still feel the calm, confident presence of Adam and Emma, and the weight of their words, respect is the real currency in life. Victor finally stood, his legs unsteady. He walked slowly to the kitchen, where his staff worked silently, sensing the change in their boss. Everyone, stop, he said quietly, almost to himself. He took a deep breath. I need to apologize, to everyone. And I need to change. He remembered the poor couple, the way Emma had held Adam's arm under the rain, the way they had smiled even after he insulted them. They had been polite, humble, and patient. And yet, they had the power to destroy him and had chosen not to. That strength, that calm dignity, humbled him completely. Victor walked out to the front of the restaurant, where a small family was hesitating outside, looking unsure of entering. He noticed their worn-out shoes, tired faces, and shivering bodies. He realized that, just like Adam and Emma, they could easily be judged and turned away. But tonight, he would act differently. Come in, he said softly, opening the door. The family's eyes widened. They stepped inside slowly, looking around at the shining lights and the polished tables. Victor guided them to a clean table and personally brought them warm tea and bread. The little boy looked up at him and asked, Sir, do we have to pay? Victor smiled gently. No. Tonight, you eat as my guests. As he served the family, Victor felt something change inside him. For the first time, he didn't care about money or status. He cared about people, their comfort, their dignity, their feelings. It was a feeling far richer than any wealth he had ever earned. Suddenly, the door opened again. A familiar voice called out, calm and gentle. "Victor," said Mr. Williams. He stepped inside with a warm smile. "I see you understood the lesson." Victor bowed his head. "Yes, sir. I never want to make the same mistake again." Mr. Williams nodded. "Remember, it is easy to judge by appearances. But true character is revealed through actions and kindness. Adam and Emma came to test you, but the real test is for life, every day." Victor wiped the sweat and tears from his face. "I understand. From today, I will treat everyone with respect, no matter their background." Just then, the restaurant's phone rang. Victor picked it up nervously. On the other end was Adam's calm voice. "Victor," he said, "we wanted to check if you learned the lesson." Victor swallowed hard. "Yes. I promise I will never forget." Adam smiled. "Good. Remember, we are not here to punish. We are here to remind. You have a chance to do better." Victor nodded. "I understand. Thank you." After the call ended, Victor looked around his restaurant. The lights didn't seem so cold anymore. The warmth came not from the golden bulbs, but from understanding and change. The family he had served smiled, enjoying their simple meal. The waiters looked at him with hope, sensing a new beginning. Victor realized that night that humility, respect, and kindness could not be bought. They had to be earned through actions. Wealth and power were temporary, but character lasted forever. Later that evening, after closing the restaurant, Victor stood by the window and looked at the wet streets outside. The rain had stopped, leaving everything shining and clean. He whispered to himself, "I will never judge anyone by their clothes again. I will never forget tonight. Respect is the real luxury." And from that night forward, Golden Spoon became more than just a luxury restaurant. It became a place where anyone, rich or poor, high or low, could come and be treated with dignity. Victor learned that the true wealth of life was not in money, but in heart, character, and respect. The memory of Adam and Emma stayed with him forever, the couple who had taught him the most valuable lesson of his life, not through threats or anger, but through patience, calm dignity, and quiet power. Victor smiled for the first time in years, not because of money, not because of pride, but because he had finally understood the value of being human.